What's your diagnosis of what's going on with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland?
Well, I think I'll say this. When it comes to the draft, I think we might have talked about this. When it comes to drafting quarterbacks, guys are busts, guys are not busts. I believe that teams bust on developing the quarterback more than the player was a bust. By the way, Baker Mayfield, but I'm not combining those two. But when we evaluate quarterbacks,
Yes.
Did it work, did it not? The times when it didn't work, I think it has more to do with what the team did to develop. Now, in Baker's case, and a lot of guys where I would put on that list, he just had a lot of different things. Hugh Jackson his first year, and then that gets fired, and then Freddie Kitchens takes over, and then now here, and then they add in OBJ, and they also add in a great roster. He's got a great offensive line, great run game, great defense. So it's just a lot.
Right, and in that regard, the newness of last year, it blossomed so well with Stefanski and without Odell, I must say. But it blossomed so well. They make the playoffs. They boat race the Steelers out. They go to Kansas City and really gave the Chiefs a heck of a game in that divisional round, and it's just been regressed right now. It's been a step backwards, right? And so the consistency that you're saying that might have been missed was actually, in a way, there this year, although Odell was in and then out.
That's the biggest question. The first couple years, it's just hard. It's just hard for me to evaluate a guy when every year it's completely different, right? And this is now coming off of 2 years where it was a lot of consistency and haven't seen them take that next step. I was pretty surprised. I thought they'd be rolling on offense. I thought their ability to run the ball and play action. And look, Baker's accurate. He can push the ball down the field. He's proven that. This guy was a walk-on twice and a Heisman finalist 3 times. I mean, I'm not wondering whether or not he can throw it, but I am wondering what that piece is that has not allowed them to continue to grow from last year.
So are we.
He looked great.
I know the general manager, Andrew Berry, said today that there's something missing in the passing game. The passing game is not firing right now. And, of course, you look at the quarterback for that sort of thing. So whenever film you do see of Baker, what are you seeing that's either firing or not? I mean, what is it for Browns fans to kind of hang their hat on? Who are certainly some Browns fans are saying, let's get Case Keenum out there right now. What do you think from what you might be
I
seeing?
haven't studied them too much. What I will say is what you have to be able to do in this league at an elite level if you're going to continue to progress is you have to be able to throw into tight windows from tight spaces. And that's something where I've always wondered, because he didn't do it a lot at Oklahoma because of the system. They were just really good. Dudes were wide open. We look at who he was throwing to. Kind of all went first or second round, right? Mark Andrews was his tight end. Hollywood, these different guys. So that it's throwing from tight spaces into tight windows. We were talking about Cade McNamara from Michigan earlier.
Yes.
That's what he's done well this year. It's not the crazy plays. It's tight spaces, tight windows. That's been a thing for Baker where I evaluate a lot of these guys coming in. And if they haven't done it in college, maybe they just weren't put in a position to do it. Doesn't mean they can't. I think that would probably be the one area that I would point to and go, I don't know that I've seen a ton of progression there. Doesn't mean that it's not going to progress. Everyone's going to miss a deep ball every now and then. That happens. But it's that throwing into tight windows from tight spaces. Typically bigger guys have an easier job with it. But at some point, everybody's got to be able to do that because that's how most third downs.
So I think the question is, because part of the issue for Baker is he's drafted first overall in a draft that does include, again, one of your clients and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, who are just phenomenal and guys who can say, I'm taking it over.
Yep.
I'm taking it over with my legs and my arm. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to win games. And Lamar won an MVP in that way, and he's even better passing now. So is it possible in this day and age that somebody can have that blossoming? It doesn't have to be both ways, 2 ways with arms and legs, but just a blossoming into dynamic franchise, taking it over no matter what's going on defense or running game tonight. For somebody to do that in years 5 through 8 of their NFL career.
100%. 100%. So what's happened is from media and fans and fantasy football and instant gratification, I need to know right now.
Right.
And we were so quick to cast guys aside. Second year, he's not even good. Development doesn't have a timeline, right? We can create a timeline and say, well, if they're not good by year 3, then, right, based off contracts. But I mean, my brother had a great run in Cincinnati, and then it was tough for a while in Oakland, and then Bruce Arians and Larry Fitzgerald and the right pieces, and all of a sudden, poof, he's in the NFC Championship runner-up for MVP. And that was like year 12,
right?
Alex Smith's his best statistical year was in Kansas City after 7 coordinators in San Francisco. I think it was legitimately 7 coordinators in San Francisco. Well, yeah, because he had got to a place where it wasn't just he had good wideouts. The development had peaked and matched what's around him. So guys who are 2, 3, 4 years in who haven't had success yet, I just think it's way too early to throw in the towel. I want to see them in a good situation. And before I evaluate, I just have a hard time evaluating somebody in a bad situation.
So then put it in a point. Is Baker in a bad situation right now?
No, I think the first couple of years was any number 1 pick is going to have a lot of turnover and a lot of that stuff. But no, I think this last year and a half has been a good situation from, again, not in the locker room, don't know the ramifications and stuff. But yeah, I think it's a situation where you could go, yeah, you'd want to see some success out of this.
And how about Cleveland with him? You think Cleveland should stick with him? They're at that point in time of, having to give a long-term deal and stuff like that. What do you think of that front?
I don't know if I have an opinion on that. I would just always err on the side of, if you have invested a lot of, I don't even care about the money because you're spending the money one way or another, right?
Right, yeah.
Right? Invested this much time and resources and reps and built around it. I always err on the side of, give it another year, right? Like, just because everyone else is impatient, do we think this guy can, what are the issues? Do we think we can get him there? Mm-hmm. And if we can, let's invest in those resources. The side-by-side of Josh Allen used to throw now, they put great resources around him. They are open to all of it. They hired a great quarterback coach in Ken Dorsey. They weren't concerned with how many people haven't improved accuracy.
Yes.
Brandon Beane built something to improve the accuracy.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.